Hello friends, welcome back. Today we are in Bambu Slicer and I'm going to be going over everything that I do when taking my models from my iPad and turning them into a fully fledged 3D print. So that means we're going to be going over the difference between an STL and an OBJ file when it comes to importing into your slicer. We're also going to look at some of the most important slicer settings, in my opinion, when it comes to actually printing these models. And we are going to look at our sliced object and then our actual 3D printed octopus. So for the printer I'm using, which is a Bambu Lab P1S, I am using Bambu Slicer. This may be different depending on what printer you are using, but most of the slicer softwares that I have experience with are all very similar to this or have very similar settings. So you should be able to use at least the general information from this video, no matter what kind of printer that you're using. And if there are things that are a little bit different, there are plenty of resources available online that may help you out a little bit more. So jumping right in, I do have two different versions of my file here. I have an OBJ file and I have an STL file. So if I click and drag the STL in, we'll see that right away we get this pop-up telling us that our object is too small. And this is because I don't scale my prints in Nomad Sculpt. I just find it to be a little bit difficult and I prefer to do it this way. I think that it's a lot easier and it just takes much less time. So when I get this pop-up, I'm going to go ahead and click yes, because it'll resize it to a more workable size. And I can always go ahead and use the scale option to change it to whatever I want it to be or to be more precise. But before I do that, the first thing I'm going to be doing is using the cut tool. And that's because I want to make sure that my model has a really nice flat bottom that is going to stick to the build plate really well. And while Nomad Sculpt is really good at getting nice, soft, smooth edges, that can be a little bit of a problem when it comes to preparing your model for printing. So if I slice it in its current state, we will go ahead and look at the first layer just to see what it gives us straight off of the iPad. So if I pull this down on the side here, we can see right away that the only thing making contact with the bed on the first layer is a couple of those little suckers. And then all of the things after that are going to be printed basically in thin air. Our actual body doesn't start printing until layer 3, and that's definitely a big problem. So if we go back to the Prepare tab and we use the Cut tool, we can cut the bottom nice and flat so that we get a really good solid bed contact in that first layer. So I just like to pull this up until I see everything that I want to be making contact with the bed in pink. And then I will check Keep Orientation on both of these so that it doesn't flip my model around, and I will hit Perform Cut. Then I like to just go ahead and delete this cut off piece, go ahead and auto arrange my plate again. And now we have our nice flat bottom. And if we slice again, we can look at the difference. So now if we pull down so we can see our first layer, we have all of those other pieces making really good bed contact, and we're going to have a really solid base for the rest of our model to build off of. So now I'm going to go back over here and I'm actually going to scale. I want this to be sort of small just so that I can get a pretty quick print time on it. I'm going to go for probably 45% just so that it's nice and little, just a cute little guy that will be done fairly quickly. Now, before we go on to painting, I do want to stop and take a look at the other option, which is our OBJ file. So we'll add a second plate and go ahead and drag in our OBJ. Now we get this pop-up this time, which is definitely different from the first time. And this is going to be assigning our colors because OBJ files will retain color information from Nomad Sculpt. Now, the issue here is that you can see it says that we have 32 colors in our model, and most of them are shades of gray, which obviously isn't right. So your options here are you can either leave all 32 of the colors, they'll show up here in your project filaments, and you can sort of merge them together on your own, or you can come up here to where it says specify number of colors. You can type in 4, which is what our model has, and it will go ahead and revise that and give you a shorter list, which is going to work out super well for this model. So we're going to click OK. And again, we're going to get that same scaling pop-up, which is fine. We'll click yes. And now we have our colored model. And you can see that sometimes it does some strange merging when it comes to reducing that number of colors from the 32 to the 4, but that's easy enough to clean up in most cases. Now, the issue that comes with this is that if you do any cutting to your model, it's going to erase any of the painting anyways. So if you aren't sure that your model is completely cut flat, there's not really any point in importing the model as an OBJ because you're going to lose that color when you do your cutting anyways. So for me today, I'm going to go ahead and stick with our STL version. So we'll delete that and go back over here to our little guy. And now we're going to move on to painting him. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these extra colors from my project filament because it will automatically add them when you import an OBJ, but I don't need all of those duplicates here. So now I'm going to go into the painting menu, and I'm going to go ahead and start by painting in his little mouth and his cheeks in pink. And because I left them as separate objects in Nomad, I can just go ahead and leave it on the connected same color option and click on each one, and it's going to paint them perfectly. Now, if your objects were merged together, you can use the edge detection feature, and that can work well, but it can also be a little bit finicky. So that's just something that you would have to experiment with a little bit, experiment with the angle, and try to get a good result that way. But it is definitely much easier if you leave them as separate objects wherever you're able to. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the eyes, fill those in with the black, and I'm going to also go ahead and paint in each individual little torus on these tentacles with this white. So now that each of these is painted, all that is left to do is add the little eye shines. So I'm going to go to the circle tool, and I'm going to start with my first and my biggest size so that I can make that sort of, I guess, primary dot here. And I just like to look at it from an angle where I can just click and I don't have to try to draw a perfect circle with the pen. And from there, I'm going to shrink it down a little bit and add a second one. And then I'm going to click down one more time just to add a third smallest one. And I'll do this a little bit differently depending on what I'm printing, but for now, this is just what I want him to look like. So now we have our fully painted model, and the next thing that I am going to be looking at is some basic slicer settings. Sort of the default as far as layer height goes is going to be 0.2 millimeters, but you can always go lower if you are wanting less visible layer lines and maybe a little bit of a higher level of detail. But that is also going to increase your waste and increase your print time pretty substantially. Another setting in this first menu that you might want to look at is the seam position. If I go ahead and slice this right now, you can see that we have a seam that runs right down the front of his head. It's going to be this white dotted line and ending right above his eye. So I'm going to go to my seam position option and change it to back and then slice again. And we can see that it went ahead and moved it to the back of his head, which is going to be less visible on our finished model. Another option I would recommend looking at is going to be your infill pattern. Infill density is something you can change as well, but that's not going to be as important for models that aren't functional. But the infill pattern is important because grid is what a lot of people default to, but that can cause printing issues because the nozzle overlapping itself in so many different places does tend to cause models to pop right off the build plate mid-print. I like to use an infill like the trihexagon or the cubic or the gyroid that doesn't overlap itself as it's printing. The next setting I would look at would be the support settings. I prefer tree supports. I do have some changes made to my settings here that make my supports a little bit easier to remove, but I would say that I am not at all an expert as far as these types of settings go, and there are a lot of people who have done far more extensive testing than I have. You can also add things like a raft, or if you go to the other section, you have skirt and brim options. I typically don't need those, but some people do find them very helpful when it comes to adhesion. Also, under this other tab, you'll find your purge options, and you can also do that by right-clicking on your model and changing your purge options here, and that's how people set up things like flush objects. So if you want your filament waste to go into some sort of other object, that's how you would go ahead and do that. Now, we do have one error here that we need to resolve before we are ready to print, and that is just that we have a G-code path that's going beyond our plate. And obviously that's not our octopus since he's right here in the center, but it is our prime tower. So we can just click on that and drag it right in, and it clears out that error. Now, the prime tower is technically optional. It does add a little bit of print time and a little bit of filament waste, but I have noticed such better results from using it. I have done prints where I turned it off, and I have had more issues with those than I do when I leave it on. So I find, especially if you are new to printing or new to printing your own models, leaving it on just helps increase your chances of success. So from here, we will slice one more time. I'm just going to go ahead and look down at our first layer to make sure it is nice and solid on the build plate, which it is. We can see our tentacles all here and then also our supports. So it looks like everything is all set there. And I would say that we are ready to print. And from here, you would just start a print like you would any other model that you had downloaded from the internet. And at the time that I'm recording this, my printer is actually busy for another half hour. So I will go ahead and get this printed, and then I will see you when it's all done. We are back, and we have our finished little octopus here all done and off the printer. And I think he came out so cute. He is just such an adorable little guy, and I love how all of his little details came out. It really never gets old seeing a model that you designed digitally turn into a physical object that you can hold in your hands. Printing your own models from Nomad Sculpt is not that much more difficult than printing anything else that you would download off of any other file site. Really, the only things that I would recommend if you need something to take away from this video is to make sure that you have the bottom of your model sliced nice and flat so that it sticks to the build plate, and to consider what you're going to be exporting as depending on how you want your model to import into the slicer, if you want to keep all of your painting or if you're okay with redoing the painting in the slicer later on. Now from here, I'm thinking that my next two videos are going to be how I make my clickers and also how I make my flexies. So if you have any thoughts on that or any opinion in which order you'd like to see those, feel free to let me know in the comments. Or if you have any other sorts of questions or thoughts that you wanted to share, I would love to hear them. But really, I think that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed, I hope you learned something, and I hope I will see you next time. Bye!